We the people. Listen to Bill Martinez live.
Hey, we're back with you, America. 14 minutes before the top of the hour. I'm Bill Martinez, and we've got Randy Sutton back with us. Lieutenant Sutton is the national spokesman for Blue Lives Matter, retired police officer who served with the Las Vegas Metro Police Department for 24 years. Randy, always good to have you with us. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great this morning. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you've got an exclusive that you're breaking here. I guess in part a surprise, in other part very disappointing news that UC police in Berkeley were ordered to stand down as helpless victims were beaten in front of them. This is incredulous here, Randy.
It really is. You know, when I watched the protest taking place, and I was watching. I was going, "Where is the police presence? Where are they?"
Yeah, that was my thought as well. But I imagine more so for you.
And I had a sinking feeling, I really did, that my suspicions were that they were basically told to stand down. But usually, at least they're present. This time, there was this madness, and there was and literally rioting, and they weren't there. Then later on, you saw one arrest made, which, by the way, turned out to be staged, and they weren't there. So I did some investigation through my resources, and finally, my suspicions were confirmed by someone who was actually ordered to stand down.
Wow. Not
only ordered to stand down, but it gets worse. It gets worse. And this is why we at Blue Lives Matter and I personally am pushing for a Department of Justice investigation into the police chief and the administration of the University of California, Berkeley, for gross malfeasance and for allowing the people to be injured without the police response. And here's what happened. The University of California, Berkeley, the University of California system has their own police agency, right?
Exactly, right.
They have,
isn't that the case with most universities, particularly in California?
Yeah.
They have their own. It's
Yeah.
a separate police department.
Correct.
Right.
And that's not unusual. But what is unusual is that they didn't work with any other police agencies. It was just them. Now they drew on officers from all over the university system. So they had a contingent, probably not an adequate number, but they had over 100 police officers. And when the crowd started to gather, they were allegedly going to be deployed, but they were ordered to go into the Martin Luther King building, which overlooks the plaza where everything was taking place. And they were there for hours. Instead of going outside, they were back behind the glass doors and windows where they were looking out doing nothing.
So the crowd's fervor, with lack of accountability and law enforcement, is just building and building like any other crazy, chaotic situation. They figure they're getting away with it. Why not?
And then to make matters worse is when the black bloc showed up, about 150 people, all dressed in black, armed with pikes and clubs and bricks and fireworks and Molotov cocktails. And that's when the destruction really began, beating people. And I want you to picture this. This was one of my contacts who are professional law enforcement officers, were ordered to watch people as they were being beaten, where they demanded to be allowed to go out and arrest and save the people. They were ordered by their supervisors not to.
Wow. It's almost like Benghazi, isn't it? I mean,
that's right. Exactly. It's absolutely unconscionable. And then the Margot Bennett, who is the chief of police there, of course, received the criticism due to her and instead of admitting, she made up excuses, claimed that there was that she would escalate the situation had she deployed her police. I mean, basically, here's the deal: she should be indicted. Is the reality, and the University of California system, which absolutely there is no doubt in my mind, is complicit in this. They were pulling the strings, and there should be a Department of Justice investigation, and there should be some serious recrimination from this, because this was policing at its worst, and it's not the cops. Right. Let me be really clear about this. The police officers were chomping at the bit to go out there and do the job.
Because they know, Randy, that, look at this kind of civil display, and it's not even unrest. I mean, this is planned chaos is what this is.
Yes.
For this to be demonstrated, it makes a big statement, not only there in Berkeley. I mean, after all, this is Baltimore, deja vu all over again. The mayor of Baltimore telling the police to stand down, that somehow, these people had the right and privilege to go and tear up and destroy their community. Let them go ahead and do that. Ferguson, the same thing, right?
Exactly. I think this is even worse, though. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you why I think this is worse. This is because the police officers were literally ordered to watch the mayhem, mm-hmm. to watch people being injured, calling for help, and being refused by their supervisors to allow them to do what they were trained, what they swore an oath to do, and what they, within their heart of hearts, want to do, and that is protect their people.
Well, this compromised their whole philosophy. I mean, on many levels, the impact that it has sociologically for those victims and those that saw it, those of us that saw it on TV, and for the law enforcement. I mean, this really just squirrels things up, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, and now the intimidation has begun. The intimidation not to tell people like me who are, I'm called the voice of American law enforcement for a reason, because they can't have a voice, and they are being shut down if they know that if they speak publicly, they're going to be fired for telling the truth.
Exactly.
This is a cover up of a major magnitude. This should be investigated, and it should not be investigated by the state of California, who I wouldn't trust to do anything because of the liberal tendencies there, but should be by the Department of Justice.
Well, it's all about CYA. We know that. And as you write, Randy, the epic failure at the University of California, Berkeley to safeguard lives and property during the recent riot personifies not only ineptitude and cowardice at the highest levels of university and police leadership, but something far darker and insidious. And this is the concerning thing, is how much darker, how insidious does it get?
Well, here's the thing. We, as law enforcement officers, when we swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States, that's a pretty serious deal. When you raise your right hand and you swear to God that you will protect lives and property, you will uphold the Constitution. That also includes the constitutional right for someone to have their free speech. And what they were ordered to do was basically accede to the wishes of a certain political bent in order to allow the protesters to shut down free speech for another individual. Whether you agree with him or not, that's what we do. We uphold the Constitution, and they were not allowed to uphold the Constitution. So not only were people beaten, were people's rights to walk through peacefully were they stopped, but also the right to free speech. And I think that is all part of how insidious this whole debacle was.
Well, you're talking a potential major lawsuit here against the university, aren't you?
Yes, I'm advocating for a lawsuit. I'm advocating that the people who were beaten to come forward to I spoke to an attorney, John Beckett, who has been quoted several times. He's the attorney for the university police officers.
Mm-hmm.
And he is pushing for an investigation. He has a great deal of information because he can speak with attorney privilege to the police officers that were there.
Exactly.
And there should be, because with a lawsuit, if the Department of Justice doesn't do it, it won't get done. But with a lawsuit, then discovery can come out and communications can be discovered. And there is no doubt in my mind that this goes to the top levels of not only the police department, Chief Margot, Bennett.
Yes.
I know that she's culpable, but I think this goes all the way up through the University of California system to the top of the food chain.
Well, it's the only way we can push back, Randy. I mean, otherwise, what's the next university? And I thought, here it is. This has happened on several campuses across the country. And the thing that makes this so dangerous is that with each evolution of these kind of outbreaks, it just keeps getting worse and worse. I mean, we're going to get to the point where somebody, and we've had that already, but I mean, even more so, where people start dying, and then what are they going to do?
The first death that happens, it will be a massive cover-up. I guarantee you that. Yeah,
they're covering up already, so why wouldn't they do that?
Yeah,
even more so, right? Unbelievable.
Exactly.
An exclusive report that Lieutenant Randy Sutton is bringing to us, and that is the UC police in Berkeley ordered to stand down as helpless victims were beaten in front of them. You will hear more. Certainly, this will continue to be discussed, and it needs to be investigated. Randy Sutton, National Spokesman for the Blue Lives Matter. Randy, always good to have you with us. Thank you, sir. Spokesman for the Blue Lives Matter. Randy, always good to have you with us. Thank you, sir.